Good evening. My name is Todd Jennings, and I am the chairman of the Pinellas GOP. At our January 14th meeting, and the first meeting of the year, I addressed the members of the Pinellas GOP with remarks geared towards encouraging us all to keep working to fight for our principles and our Republican candidates. A large number of you asked that I publish or video my remarks, so here goes. In the fall of 2016, in the months leading up to the election of Donald Trump, there was a sense in all of us that the coming election was the most important election of our lifetimes. After 8 years of administration bent on progressive and transformational change, it seemed like the coming election could be a watershed moment if lost. And when we woke up the next morning, I think we all breathed a great sigh of relief. But then came 2018. In the 2 years that followed Trump's election, we saw vicious attacks on the institution of the presidency, the rule of law, due process, and even the lives of elected Republicans themselves. More importantly, we witnessed the unmasking of the Democrat Party and the rise of democratic socialism. And by the fall of 2018, we found that ideology on the doorstep of the governor's mansion in Tallahassee. And again, there was a sense that this was the most important election of our lifetimes. And I can tell you that the next 2 years are likely to be no different than the 2 years that preceded 2018. We are seeing the rise of unbridled progressives in the Democrat Party. We see that in the presidential candidacies of unabashed liberals like Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris, and in the meteoric rise of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Additionally, we know that the new Democrat Congress will not relent in its effort to undermine the results of the 2016 election. Make no mistake, by the time the fall of 2020 rolls around, it too will feel like the most important election of our lifetime. I think the lesson here is that no single election is the most important election of our lifetimes. Every election is the most important election of our lifetimes, because every election, ideas like limited government, federalism, the rule of law, judicial restraint, and due process are prosecuted in the court of public opinion. In every election, such ideals are subjected to the whims of a jury of our peers, many of whom get their civics education through Snapchat and Twitter. And let me elaborate on that a minute. If someone were to ask me, why are you a Republican? The practical answer would be, I like freedom, personal freedom, political freedom, and economic freedom, all of which are required to live a free and autonomous existence. But I think the scholarly answer would be that I believe in our republic, and that is why we are Republicans. The other party believes in absolute democracy at the expense of our republic, and that is why they are called Democrats. And that's an important distinction. There is no doubt that Americans are champions of democracy, and for good reason, which is why the Founding Fathers were in quite the quandary at the Constitutional Convention. They were tasked with building a democracy that prioritized and protected American liberties from the tyranny of the majority, which many of the founding generation called it. They did this through one of the greatest documents ever written, the United States Constitution, through the creation of a bicameral legislature, the separation of powers, the Electoral College, an independent judiciary, and the preservation of personal rights and freedoms through due process and other mechanisms. There is a story that you all have heard before, that when Benjamin Franklin exited the Constitutional Convention and was asked what kind of government had been created, he blurted out, "A republic, if you can keep it." His iconic response is echoed every election. To quote an academic at the University of Pennsylvania, democratic republics are not merely founded upon the consent of the people. They are also absolutely dependent upon the active and informed involvement of the people for their continued good health. And Pinellas Republicans, we have to be those active and informed citizens. What we have seen since the founding of this nation is the unrelenting assault on our republic in the name of absolute democracy. More recently, we have seen that in the opposition to any process that seeks to preserve the legitimacy of elections, like voter ID. We have seen that in the filing of bills seeking amendments to dissolve the Electoral College. Most recently, here in Florida, we saw that in the election recount, when Democrats demanded that deadlines be extended, improperly cast ballots be counted, and state laws be ignored because counting every ballot was more important to them than protecting the legal processes that ensure legitimate elections. I said all of that to say this. 2020 is the next most important election of our lifetimes. Those that seek to attack our republic will be angrier and bolder than ever. As Governor DeSantis said at the RPOF annual meeting last weekend, 2020 is going to be nasty, and we need to get prepared for it now in 2019, because if we wait until 2020, it will be too late. This organization will be ready. We are launching a voter registration effort, continuing our membership efforts, and working hard to raise funds to elevate our brand and support our efforts in 2020. We need everyone engaged and everyone to be bought in here in 2019 so that we can repel the next assault on our republic in 2020. We have a republic, let's keep it.